Sign the prenup, or the wedding's off. That's what her future mother-in-law screamed in front of everyone. But this black woman didn't argue, she signed it quietly. 5 minutes later, the entire room fell silent. Because her billionaire father walked in with a $10 billion secret. That turned everything upside down. Amara, elegant in her caramel skin and soft curls pinned with grace, looked down at the document. She had walked into this family with love in her heart. But standing across from Veronica, she realized love might not be enough. "I didn't come for your money," Amara whispered. Veronica folded her arms, smiling with razor-blade sweetness. "Then it should be easy to sign." Tension filled the marble foyer of the Ashford estate, where chandeliers glistened and egos loomed larger than family portraits. Thomas, Amara's fiancé, stood speechless beside his mother, his silence cutting deeper than words. Amara sat at the long mahogany table, her fingers brushing the edge of the thick prenup papers. The room smelled like jasmine tea and tension. Veronica, dressed in an icy gray designer suit, watched her with a smug tilt of her head, like a queen expecting obedience. "You have no idea what this family has built," Veronica began coldly. "My husband worked his whole life to give Thomas a future, and I won't let you ruin that because you walked in from wherever it is you came from." Amara held her gaze. "I came from dignity. I came from love." Veronica scoffed. "Well, love doesn't pay for private jets and penthouses." Amara looked to Thomas, her fiancé, the man she thought would protect her. But he sat there in his tailored blue suit, shoulders tight, lips sealed. "Thomas," she said softly, "do you really believe I'm here for your money?" His eyes shifted. "No. Of course not, babe. I love you. It's just, this is standard. Every couple in our circle signs one." "But I'm not from your circle," she said, standing taller. "You knew that when you proposed." Veronica slid the pen forward. "So prove you're not here for the money. Sign it." Amara's heart pounded. This wasn't just a document, it was a declaration. A line in the sand. She wasn't afraid of starting with nothing. She was afraid that the man she loved didn't have the courage to defend her. With one deep breath, Amara picked up the pen. "I don't need a cent from you. I never did." She signed. Not for them, but for herself. Because what they didn't know was that her silence was power. And her story was only just beginning. 3 weeks later, the wedding plans were underway, and Veronica had all but taken control of everything. The guest list, the venue, even Amara's dress. Amara smiled through it all, patient and composed, but not because she was weak. She was observing, calculating. One Friday evening, Thomas's family hosted a lavish engagement dinner at their country estate. The hall was filled with the elite, CEOs, trust fund kids, and old money families who all raised their glasses with shallow smiles. Amara wore a sleek emerald green gown that complemented her deep brown skin and coiled hair pulled into a stunning updo. She stood tall and elegant, but most of the guests didn't even try to hide the way they looked at her, like she didn't belong. "Quite the charity case," one whispered. "Her father couldn't even afford to walk her down the aisle, I heard." Another snickered behind a wine glass. Veronica watched it all from across the room, pleased with the discomfort she orchestrated. Until he walked in. A tall, poised older gentleman entered, wearing a crisp white Nehru jacket and an air of understated power. His silver beard was perfectly trimmed, and he moved with quiet authority. The room went silent. Veronica's smug grin froze as he approached Amara and gently kissed her on the forehead. "Sorry I'm late," he said. "The board meeting in Tokyo ran long." "Dad." Amara smiled warmly. Whispers began spreading like wildfire. "Wait, that's her father? I thought he was dead." "No, that's Adewale Okonjo, the shipping magnate." Veronica nearly dropped her glass. Her voice trembled. Your father is that Adewale?" Amara turned slowly to face her, calm and composed. "Yes," she said. "The man you thought didn't exist." and just like that, the room shifted. Everything was about to change. Veronica's hands shook slightly as she tried to process what just happened. She had spent weeks humiliating Amara, demanding a prenup, calling her family unknown. Now, the truth stood tall in front of her. Amara was the only daughter of Adewale Okonjo, a $10 billion global shipping empire under his name. She stammered, I didn't realize. Amara, still composed, offered no anger, just a quiet dignity that made her glow even brighter. Her father, Mr. Okonjo, looked Veronica dead in the eye. You forced my daughter to sign a prenup without even knowing who she was? Interesting choice. Veronica tried to laugh nervously. Well, it's just standard, you know, to protect family wealth. He raised an eyebrow. Whose wealth, exactly? The guests around them murmured louder now. People who once whispered behind Amara's back now looked at her with admiration and apology. A few even walked up to greet Mr. Okonjo with respect, offering their cards, hoping for a connection. Thomas, overwhelmed, approached his mother. You embarrassed her for weeks. You questioned her worth. And now look at you. What else were you wrong about, Mom? Veronica was speechless. Then Mr. Okonjo turned to Amara. Tell me, my daughter, do you still want to marry into this family? The room fell silent. Everyone waited for her answer. Amara looked at Thomas, then at his mother, and then back at her father. I love him. But I won't be treated like I'm less than anyone ever again. Not by anyone. Not even family. Thomas nodded, tears forming in his eyes. You never were. I see it now. I'm sorry I didn't defend you sooner. And just like that, the power dynamics had flipped. Amara wasn't just good enough. She was more than they had ever imagined. 3 weeks later, Amara walked down the aisle, not in the mansion Veronica had picked, not with the guest list she had curated. Instead, the ceremony was held on the private island her father had gifted her. White sand, a sapphire sea, and 100 guests who respected her journey, not just her last name. She wore a custom gown hand-stitched by African artisans, a graceful fusion of tradition and elegance. Her hair was styled in soft waves, crowned with golden beads that shimmered under the sun. As she reached the altar, Thomas stood waiting, nervous, but changed. He had taken a step back from his mother, apologized publicly, and fought hard to earn back Amara's trust. Veronica, on the other hand, sat quietly among the guests, a forced smile on her face, fully aware she no longer pulled the strings. During the vows, Thomas looked her in the eyes and said, I didn't defend you when I should have, but I will spend every day from now proving you deserve the world, because you do. Amara smiled, not because of the wealth, not because of the name, but because she had never lost herself. Later at the reception, Mr. Okonjo took the microphone. My daughter didn't tell you who she was because she doesn't measure people by titles or fortune. She measures by love, loyalty, and strength, and by those standards, she is the richest person I know. The crowd stood in applause. Amara had entered this family underestimated, unwanted, and tested. But she walked away loved, respected, and in full control of her story. Because what they saw as weakness was the quiet power of a woman who never needed anyone's approval to shine.